It's clear that Artis Ex Erebus and his soldiers are an immediate threat to Rothfield. At the mayor's request, you decide to take the fight to them. The city gates clatter shut behind you as you head back into the mists. You track the undead forces to a training camp where you watch various shambling dead attack strange training dummies. "It makes no sense, does it?" cackles a voice. You are startled to find a wizened old corpse sitting cross-legged not 10 feet away, polishing what might be gemstones or might just be a collection of marbles. "They've got no muscles to train, no skills to hone, so why?" The corpse grins a three-toothed leer behind stretched, leathery lips. "Look again at those dummies. Here, look through the eye of the Lennox." Bony fingers hold up a large, translucent marble gem. Peering through it, you see the dummies, human skeletons, you think, writhe with tortured ghosts. It's all about pain. The more they suffer, the more agony the master can share with his enemies. The corpse pops the eye of Lennox into its mouth and slurps. And his friends, if he has any, and himself, we're all cursed here, after all, but somebody could put those poor souls out of all our misery. You look down at the camp again, and when you turn back, the corpse is nowhere to be seen. Your course of action is clear, then. Free the tortured souls, and Artis and his death-born legion will be dealt a devastating blow. This is Taskmaster. The heroes start at the entrance. The zombies start in the graveyard. The shambling colossus start in the Hall of Statues. The Morrow priests start in the sewer. And Artis Ex Erebus gets to start next to a shackled spirit. We chose the one in the sewer over here. The 3 shackled spirits are here. The 4 search tokens are over here. The hero's goal is to knock out all of the shackled spirits. The Overlord's goal is to knock out all 4 heroes. The Overlord can attack the shackled spirits, and if they do at least 1 damage, they get to pull up some extra damage counters later on that master minions and lieutenants can use, or they can attack them to heal up. At the beginning of the Overlord's turn, they get a zombie on the graveyard here, and at the end of the turn, they get a Morrow priest next to a shackled spirit.
First up is Tombo Burrowell. He has the skills Greater Calling, so he's a monk and disciple right here as a dual class, Prayer of Healing, Armor of Faith, Blessed Strike, Inner Balance, and Open-Handed. And then for items, he has Forewarned Ring, Mana Weave, and Fists of Iron. Next up is Sindriel. She has Shield Mage, Steelcaster, so she's dual classing with Necromancer. She has Vampiric Blood, Raise Dead, Fury of Undeath, Corpse Blast, and Rune Guard, and Reanimate. And for her items, she has Lightning Javelin, Iron Shield, and Heavy Cloak. Next up is Widow Tara. She has Arcane Veteran, so she's a Battle Mage dual class with a Knight. She has Rune Grafting, Planar Weapon, Advance, Oath of Honor, and Challenge, and Runic Weave for skills. And then for items, she has Sunburst and Blessed Armor. And last up for the heroes is Brother Garen. For skills, he has Vigilance, so he's Watchman dual class with Thief. He has Dirty Tricks, Sneaky, Greedy, Quick Recovery, and Trailblazer. And then for items, he has Lucky Charm, Ironbound Ring, Leather Armor, Iron Shield, and Bone Wand. First up for the Overlord is going to be the Ties That Bind skill that gives them the Scourge token, which does some melee attacks with red and blue dice, and then it makes the heroes suffer fatigue if they use their powers next to it. Next up are the Flesh Molders. They are ranged attackers that have blue dice and yellow dice for attacking, and then they can surge for some extra damage right here. They can also heal themselves with Mend, and the Master one can heal other monsters and lieutenants and anything else. Next up are the Zombies. They're melee attackers with red, blue, and yellow dice here. They can surge for some extra damage. They can also give the heroes disease with surges, and then the Master one can grab and hold and immobilize a hero in place, and they both have Shambling, so they can only move once per turn. Next up, the Overlord has Shambling Colossus right here. They do a melee attack with red, blue, and yellow dice, and then they also have surges for some extra damage. They have Puncture, so they pierce based on the number of defensive shield dice that are rolled, and then the Master one is Harrowing, which if an enemy hero attacks them within 3 spaces, they have a chance to get terrified for the attack. Last up for the minions is going to be the Morrow Priest. They are going to be melee attackers with blue and yellow dice. They have some surges for a little bit of extra damage. They can also do Mortal Binding, so they start collecting hero tokens, and then the heroes can't heal until either a hero gets knocked out or a Morrow Priest gets knocked out. They also have Shadow Step, so if the heroes attack them, don't spend a surge, they get to move 5 spaces away. Last up for the Overlords is the Lieutenant Artis Ex Erebus right here. He's going to be a melee attacker with red and blue dice. He has the flanking ability, so he can use any curse monsters' surge abilities next to him. He also has Fury, so if he wants, he has a chance to earn an extra surge. He can do a Pierce 1 right there. He has an ability called Rally, which gets rid of conditions from monsters within 3 spaces of him. Alright, on to the travel events. We start in Rothfeld Village here. We have to go all the way to Taskmaster, so the first spot is this road event right here. We end up getting, let's see, road is no event. Alright, on to this water event right over here before we start Taskmaster. Let's see, we end up getting water right here, no event. First up is Brother Garen, but before he does his actions, he's going to use his Trailblazer ability, so everyone gets to move 1 space, including him. So we're going to have Tombo go here, Sindriel is going to go here, he's going to move up here, and then Widow Tara is going to go right up over here. Let's go ahead and exhaust this. He's then going to use his sneaky ability to grab the search token within 3 spaces, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. Sorry, it was called Greedy, so we spend a fatigue for Greedy. He ends up getting this right here, which is a stamina potion. Brother Garen's then going to use his next action to attack this regular zombie here. He needs 1, 2, 3 range with his bone wand, 2 yellow dice, and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. Alright, let's see what he gets here. Remember, he's trying to get 3 range. He got the range. Let's take out all of the dice here. It looks like there's 2 damage and a surge, and there's also 2 defense here. So his 1 surge is going to add 2 more damage, and the other surge is 2 range and 1 damage. So let's total this up. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 2. 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place that right over there, and that's the end of Brother Garen's turn. Next up is Tombo. He's going to move 5, 1, 2, 3, or I guess 3 right here. He's going to stop right there. He's going to use his free attack of Fists of Iron on this zombie right here. 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. Alright, let's see what he gets. We're going to go ahead and roll that. Let's pull this all out. It looks like it almost might be enough. I think we can do it. So it's going to be 5 damage right there against 1 defense. We are going to use Mana Weave to get another surge, which adds 1 more damage. So 6 damage against 1. 5 damage goes through and knocks out the zombie. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map. He's then going to use his second action with Fist of Iron to attack this zombie right here. 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage again. Alright, let's see if he can get 5 damage. We're going to go ahead and roll that. He ends up getting a miss and no way to re-roll that. So that's the end of Tombo's turn. Widow Tara is going to go next. She's going to do challenge on this zombie right here. So they do 1 damage to each other until the beginning of her next turn. She's then going to move 1, 2 right here and attack this regular zombie right here with her Sunburst Wound. It's a yellow die and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 2 damage. Let's go ahead and exhaust challenge right here, and let's see if she can do the 2 damage to finish off the zombie. She has a miss, but she's going to use her hero ability to re-roll this. Let's go ahead and see what we get. We do get a not a miss, so we go ahead and pull that out. It's a damage and 2 surges against a defense right here. She's going to use the first surge for 2 more damage, and then her second one would use this to recover health and stamina, but she's good, so it's going to be 3 damage, minus 1, 2 damage goes through and knocks out the zombie. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map, and then 2 things are going to happen. The first thing is the Overlord's going to put their Scourge Servant like that. Let's go ahead and exhaust the ties that bind. She's then going to spend 1 fatigue after defeating the zombie to move up to her speed and then make another attack. She's just going to go right over here, 1, 2, and then attack this zombie with the Sunburst. It's a yellow die and a blue die against a brown die. But because she spent a fatigue next to the Scourge Servant, the Overlord's going to have Tomble take a fatigue for that. Let's go ahead and give Tomble the fatigue. Alright, it's going to be back to the zombie now. Let's go ahead and give her the fatigue for the advance right over here. Yellow and a blue against a brown, trying to do 5 damage. Let's go ahead and pull that out. It's 2 damage and a surge against 1 defense. She does have 1 more damage because of challenge, and then she's going to use her other surge right here for 2 more damage. So let's count that all up. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, minus 1, 4 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place that on the zombie right over here like that. And that's the end of Widow Tara's turn. Sindriel is going to go last. She's going to spend 1 fatigue for Raised Dead to put a reanimate right over there. Let's go ahead and place that right there on her. The Reanimate's then going to move and interrupt its movement right here to attack this zombie with the blue, yellow, red die against a brown die, trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see if we can do the 1 damage right here. Let's see. Looks like we got plenty of damage. Let's go ahead and add all of this up. So it looks like it's going to be 6 damage and 2 surges. So 1 surge for 1 more damage to make it 7. Minus 1. 6 damage goes through, knocks out the zombie. And then also we get to recover fatigue with vampiric blood. Let's go ahead and remove this zombie from the map right over there like that. And then the reanimate gets to continue its 2 more movements. So let's go 1, 2 right over there. Let's go ahead and remove the fatigue for vampiric blood. Cindriel is then going to make a ranged attack with her lightning javelin on this zombie right here. She needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range, but she gets 4 because of the ability on the lightning javelin. It's going to be 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. Alright, we have the range right there because of the ability. Let's see if we can do the 5 damage. Looks like we did get a lot of damage in surges, so it's 2 damage and 2 surges right here. Again, it's no defense. So the first surge is going to be 2 more damage, which is not going to be enough. That's 4 damage. And then a stun right there. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage and the stun right here, and that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which is Poison Dart. They also get to place 1 zombie in the graveyard. They're going to place that one right over there. This zombie's going to go first. Its first action is to get rid of the stun, and then second action is to attack the reanimate. It gets a yellow die and a blue die against no die, trying to do 4 damage. Alright, let's see if it can do the 4 damage right here. It looks like it does not have enough damage. It's going to be 1 damage plus a surge. The surge is going to be adding 2 more damage, so 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and put the 3 damage right here. And then this zombie is going to go next. It's going to attack the reanimate again with the yellow die and a blue die against no die, trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see if we can do the 1 damage to finish off the reanimate. It looks like we got it. Let's pull it out. It's going to be 3 damage against nothing, so it gets knocked out. We go ahead and remove the reanimate right there, and then the zombie gets to move up to 5 spaces. Sorry, the zombie gets to move 3 spaces. It's going to go 1, 2, 3 right over there. All right, last up for the zombies is the master zombie. It's going to go 1, 2. It's going to interrupt its movement to do hold here on Tumble. Tumble has to pass a might test. If not, he gets immobilized. He has a might of 1, so he's trying to get 1 or less. Let's see what he gets. He ends up failing, so he's immobilized. Let's go ahead and put that on his card. The zombie's then going to continue its movement right over here, and that's done for the zombies. The Scourge Servant's going to go next. It's going to go 1 right over here. It's then going to attack Tumble with a blue die and a red die against 3 gray dice. Alright, he gets the 1 gray die for himself and 2 from Widow Tara being next to him with his hero ability. We don't have 3 gray dice, so we have to re-roll one of these. So it does look like it's going to be 4 damage with no surge. That like the surge doesn't matter. Let's see, the 3rd gray die right here is another 1, so we have 3 defense, so 1 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 1 damage right over here. Next up are the Shambling Colossus. This master one's going to attack a Shackled Spirit right here with a red, blue, and yellow die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. Alright, let's see what they get right here. Remember, it's just trying to do 1 damage. That's all that matters. So we're going to go ahead and we got 2 damage, 3 damage, and a surge against 5 defense. There is puncture here, which reduces 2 of the shields right there. And then the 1 surge is going to add 2 more damage. So it's going to be 5 damage minus 3. At least 1 damage goes through. All right, the Overlord gets a bonus damage for later. Next up is this Shambling Colossus. It's also going to attack the Shackled Spirit. It only gets a blue die and a red die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. It also has puncture, so it gets to ignore 2 shields. So let's go ahead and see what it got. It gets 5 damage and pierce 2 against 4 defense. So it's 5 minus 2, 3 damage. So at least 1 damage goes through, which means the Overlord gets another damage bonus for later on. Last up is this Shambling Colossus. It's going to move. It's going to pick itself up and pick this spot. So 1, 2, 3 right over here. And it's going to pick itself up and then go 1, 2. It's actually going to block off this. Well, I guess it can't really block off that, but it's going to go, it's going to go 1, 2 right over here like that. Next up is Artis Eeks Erebus right here. He's going to do a melee attack on the Shackled Spirit. He gets 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. Alright, let's see if he can do at least 1 damage here. So we're going to pull this all out. Looks like it's going to make it there, but let's add it all up. So it's going to be 6 damage minus 2 defense. So 4 damage goes through, which means that the Overlord gets 1 more bonus damage for later on. His next action is to move forward. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, right over here. That's the end of his turn. This Morrow Priest is going to go next. It's going to attack the Shackled Spirit. It's going to be the Master one, so he gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 1 damage. All right, let's see if he gets the damage. Remember, just try and do 1. It does look like it's going to do enough damage. Let's total it, though. It's going to be sort 6 damage and a surge against 1 defense. 1 more surge for 1 more, so 7 minus 1, 6 damage goes through, but it's enough to do 1 damage to get another bonus damage for the Overlord later on. It then gets to move 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right over here, and then this regular minion is going to attack this Shackled Spirit with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see if we do enough damage. Just trying to do 1 damage here. It does look like we're going to get enough. Let's pull it all out right here. It looks like it's going to be 2 damage and a surge, which is 1 more damage. So 3 damage minus 1 defense. 2 goes through, which is enough to add a bonus damage for the Overlord later on. Alright, it gets to move 5 spaces now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right over there. And that's the end of the Overlord's turn. Brother Garen's going to go first. He's going to attack this regular zombie. He needs 1, 2, 3 range with his boned wand, 2 yellow die, and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see if we do the 1 damage right here. Remember, we need the 3 range. Looks like we got the range. We are going to get plenty of damage. So it's 2, 4, 5 damage with 2 surges. So 1 more for, that's 6, 7 damage minus 2. 5 damage goes through, and the other unspent surge is going to get rid of a fatigue. Let's go ahead and remove this zombie from the map, and then he's going to use his second action to attack this zombie right here. Needs 1, 2, 3 range with the bone wand, 2 yellow die, and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. Alright, remember we need the 3 range. Let's see what we get right over here. We did not get the range, but we can get it with the surge. So it looks like we got 2, 4, 6 damage, and then there's 1 defense, and then 1 surge is going to add 2 range to get the range and 1 more damage. We could use unspent surges to get rid of fatigue, but we're full, so we're going to go ahead and it's going to be another surge there. So let's add this all up. 6, 7, 8, 9 damage minus 1. 8 damage goes through and knocks out the zombie. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map there. He's then going to use his Trailblazer ability, so him and Sindriel get to move 1 space. So she's going to go 1 there, and he's going to go 1 right over there. Let's go ahead and exhaust Trailblazer, and that's the end of Brother Garen's turn. Tombo's going to go next. He is immobilized. He's going to use his first free attack with his Fists of Iron on the Scourge Servant, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see if he can do 7 damage here. Oops, he ends up getting a miss. That's unfortunate. He's going to use his actual first action as the same attack with the Fists of Iron right here, try and do 7 damage. Let's see if this first action can get it through. It doesn't look like he has enough here. Let's go ahead and add it up. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 damage right here, and then the Mana Weave for a surge, so 5 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 5 damage right there. He's going to use his second attack to try to finish off the Scourge Servant with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die. Alright, let's move this down here. Let's see if he can do the last bit of damage, or I guess 2 damage here. He ends up getting a miss. Widow Tara is going to go next. She's going to attack the Scourge Servant with her Sunburst. It's a yellow die and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 2 damage. Alright, let's see if we can do the 2 damage right here. Looks like we got a damage and a surge and against no defense. So the surge is going to be spent for 2 more damage. So 3 damage goes through and knocks out the Scourge. So then Widow Tara is going to spend a stamina right here for advance. So she gets to move her full movement and then make another attack. So she knocks out the Scourge right over here, and then she's going to move 4 spaces. She's going to move 1, 2 right over here, and then after her second movement, the Overlord's going to do Pit Trap, so she has to test awareness. If she fails, she suffers a damage and loses a movement point. She has Blessed Armor, so she has to roll 2 gray dice instead of a gray and a black. Her awareness is 2, so she needs a 2 or less. She ends up failing, so she takes a damage, and then she loses a movement point. She's going to then suffer fatigue to get an extra movement so she can complete her advance. So she has 2 movement left. She's going to go 1, 2 right over here, and then get her attack with the Sunburst on the Shambling Colossus. It's going to be a blue die and a yellow die against a black die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see if she can do as much damage as possible. I don't think she can get the 7. Let's go ahead and add this out here. So it's going to be 4 damage and a surge against 2 defense. She's going to use the surge to add 2 more damage, so 6 damage minus 2, 4 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage right here, and because that was her advance, that which didn't cost an action, she's going to use her last action to do another attack with her Sunburst rune. It's going to be with the yellow die and a blue die against the black die on the Shambling Colossus, trying to do 3 damage left. Alright, let's see if she can finish off the last 3 damage right over here. It looks like she has 2 damage and a Surge. The Surge would only add 2 more damage, would be 4 against 2. So she's going to use her hero ability here to re-roll. Let's see if the re-roll is any better right here. She got 2 more damage. I don't think this makes a difference right here. So it's going to be 4 damage minus 2. 2 damage goes through and it has 1 health left. Alright, let's do the damage right here, or the 2 damage. So exchange the 3 for a 5, so it has 1 health left. Last up is Sindril. She's going to use her heroic feat, so her and Brother Garen get to do a free movement. So she gets to go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. Brother Garen gets to go 3. 1, 2, 3 right over here like that. Let's go ahead and flip over her card. She's then going to use her Lightning Javelin right here to attack the Shambling Colossus, trying to do the last damage. She gets 4 range because of the ability, so she doesn't have to worry about range. It's 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black die. Alright, let's see if we get the damage. We're just trying to do 1 damage, I believe, so it looks like we have plenty of damage. It's going to be 5 damage and 2 surges against 3 defense, so we are going to use a surge for 2 more damage, might as well. So it's going to be 7 minus 3, 4 damage goes through, and then the unspent surge can't get rid of fatigue because she's already full in stamina. We're going to remove the Shambling Colossus from the map, then the Overlord's going to use Ties That Bind right here to put the Scourge Servant to get in the way. Let's go ahead and exhaust that. She's then going to spend a fatigue on Raise Dead to put the Reanimate right over here. Let's go ahead and put the fatigue right there. The Reanimate's going to move 1 right over here and attack the Scourge Servant with the red, blue, and yellow die against a brown die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see if we get the 7 damage right over here. So there's no defense, but it doesn't look like there's enough damage. It's going to be 4 damage minus 0 right here, so 4 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and put the 4 damage there, and that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Word of Misery right here. They get to spawn a zombie in the graveyard. They're going to put 1 right over here like that. The Scourge Servant's going to go first. It's going to attack the Reanimate with the blue die and a red die against no defensive die, trying to do 4 damage. Alright, let's see if we can get the 4 damage through. It ends up being a miss like that. The zombie's going to go next. This regular one's going to attack Brother Garen with the blue die and a yellow die against a gray die and a brown die and an iron-bound ring and iron shield. Alright, can't knock out Brother Garen, but let's see how much damage it can do right over here. Looks like we got some damage, so this one has to be a reroll though. Let's go ahead and reroll this one to see what we get. So it's 1 defense right here, and then the iron-bound ring does count as a defense right there. And then with the shield, that's a 3rd defense, so 3 damage minus 3, no damage goes through. After that, the zombie's going to move 3 spaces, or I guess 1, 2 right over here. And then the master one's going to go 1, 2, 3. It's going to do a hold on Tomble. He has to do a might check. If he fails, he gets immobilized. His might is a 1, so he has to get 1 or less. So let's see what he gets. Oh, I rolled the wrong dice. It has to be a black and a gray. He does not have the armor like Widokara does. So he ends up failing and gets immobilized. So we're going to go ahead and put that on him right here. Next up is the Master Shambling Colossus, going to attack the Shackled Spirit here with the red, blue, and yellow die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. Alright, it does have Puncture, so Puncture 2, which is Pierce 2 right here. It does look like a damage is going to go through, but let's go ahead and total it up. So it's going to be 4 damage and a Surge. The Surge will add 2 more, so 6 minus the Pierce 2, minus 2, 4 damage goes through, or at least 1, so the Overlord gets an extra damage for later. Next up is this regular Shambling Colossus. It's going to attack the Shackled Spirit with a blue die and a red die against 2 gray, trying to do at least 1 damage. It does have Puncture, which is going to end up being Pierce 2 because there's 2 dice right here, so it looks like it's going to be 4 damage with Pierce 2, so no defense, at least 1 damage goes through, and the Overlord gets another damage counter. Next up is the Morrow Priest. This is the master one. He gets to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's then going to move again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go up there on the elevation. And then the regular one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over there, right at the bottom of the stairs. Artis Eeks Erebus is going to go back actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to attack the Shackled Spirit with 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray die, trying to do at least 1 damage. All right, let's see if he can get the 1 damage through right here. It looks like he probably is going to, so it's going to be 6 damage and a surge for Pierce, which ends up being 3 defense then. So 3 damage goes through, and the Overlord gets another counter. That is the end of the Overlord's turn. Widow Tara is going to go first. She's going to attack the Scourge Servant with her Sunburst rune with the blue die and the yellow die against a brown die, trying to do 3 damage. All right, let's see if she can do the 3 damage right over here. It looks like she has 2 damage and a surge, so she'll probably be able to get there. And then there's no defense there. Surge is for 2 more damage. So 4 damage goes through and knocks out the Scourge. She's then going to spend 1 fatigue on advance right over here to then get to move and then make another attack. Let's go ahead and remove the Scourge Servant like this, and then she gets to move up to 4. 1, 2, 3 right over here. She's going to attack the Master one right here with her free attack from advance. It's going to be a Sunburst, so a yellow die and a blue die against a 2 gray dice. All right, let's see how much damage we can do here. It has 10 health. I don't think we can do enough to knock it out. So it looks like we have 2 damage and a surge against 2 defense. We could use a reroll. We are going to, yeah, I guess we'll use the reroll on this one right here. Let's see if we can get a little bit more than just a surge. So it looks like we got a damage, so it's actually worse. So it looks like 3 damage minus 2, 1 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the damage right there. Widow Tara did not spend a surge, so it gets to do a shadow step right here. So it gets to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right up over there like that. Widow Tara is going to use challenge right here on this Morrow Priest to add a counter to him, so they do 1 damage to each other until the beginning of her next turn. Let's go ahead and put that right over there. And then she's going to use her second action to attack the regular Morrow Priest. It's going to be a yellow die and a blue die with her Sunburst against 2 gray dice, trying to do 8 damage. Go ahead and exhaust the challenge like that, and then let's see how much damage she can do. We end up getting 2 damage right here, which is unfortunate because the Morrow Priest has 3 defense, and then even with the 1 more damage from the challenge, no damage goes through. All right, the Morrow Priest is going to use Shadow Step because no surge was spent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and move up right over there like that, and that's the end of Widow Tara's turn. Sindriel is going to go next, but she's going to have the Reanimate go first. 1, 2, 3, right over here. And then she's going to attack this Morrow Priest right over here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 range. She's going to use her Lightning Javelin, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice. The Javelin does give her at least 4 range, so she needs to roll 3. All right, let's go ahead and see if she gets the 3 more range. It does look like she got it. Let's go ahead and bring all of this out and add everything. Looks like it's 3 damage and 2 surge against 4 defense. So the range is good. So the first surge is going to be for an extra 2 damage, and the other surge is going to be for a stun. But unfortunately, I guess that actually does work out because it's 5 damage minus 4, 1 damage, and a stun goes through. Actually, instead of the stun, she's going to make sure that Shadow Step doesn't go off. So just 1 damage and no Shadow Step. Let's go ahead and place the 1 damage right here, and then she's going to make the same attack again, 2 yellow dice and a blue die with the Lightning Javelin against 2 gray dice. All right, let's go ahead and see if we get the 3 more range. It looks like we got the range, a lot more damage this time, or a little bit more this time. So 3 damage and the surge against a defense right there. We're actually going to do the surge for 2 more damage, so it's going to be 5 damage minus 1, 4 damage goes through, but then they also get the Shadow Step. All right, let's exchange the 1 right here for a 5, and then the Shadow Step's just going to go 1, 2, right up over here like that, still just moving back a little bit on the elevation. Indriel did not move, so she gets to recover up to 2 fatigue like that. Brother Garen's going to go first, but he's going to use Trailblazer, so him and Tom will get to move 1 space. Even though Tomble's immobilized, this is not a move action, so he gets to go 1 right there, and Brother Garen's going to go 1 right there. Let's go ahead and exhaust this like that. All right, then Brother Garen's going to use a move action. Let's go 1, 2, 3 right over here. Then he's going to attack with his Boned Wand against this Morrow Priest. All the way down here, he needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 range with his Bone Wand, 2 yellow die and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 3 damage. He's also going to use his hero ability to take a damage to do an extra damage, and he does get sneaky because they did not have line of sight of each other. He gets an extra damage right there. But remember, we're trying to get 6 range, so let's go ahead and see if that happens first. It looks like we have 4 range and 4 damage and a surge. So this should be fine because the surge is going to add 2 more range and a damage. So that right there is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 damage minus 2. 5 damage goes through and knocks out the Morrow Priest. So we're going to remove the regular minion Morrow Priest right over here like that. Then the Overlord's going to use Ties That Bind to put the Scourge token right over there. Let's go ahead and exhaust the Ties That Bind. Next up is Tombo. He's going to take a rest action, which allows him to use Inner Balance. So he's going to spend a fatigue right here and exhaust this to allow him to get rid of a condition from a hero within 3 spaces. So he's going to get rid of Immobilize from himself. He's then going to use his next action to move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right up over here like that. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord's turn, they get to draw a card, which ends up being Possessive right here. And then they're also going to activate Word of Misery. So anytime a hero takes damage this turn, they also suffer fatigue. After the Overlord plays Word of Misery, Forewarned Ring heals up Tombo for 1. They also get to spawn a zombie, so they're going to put the Master one right over there like that. The Master Zombie is going to go 3, 1, 2, 3 right over here and do hold on Brother Garen. He has to make a might test. If he fails, he gets immobilized. He has a might of 1 right there, so he has to get 1 or less. Let's see if he passes. He fails because there's a 4. He's going to use his Lucky Charm to try to roll this again. Once again, needs to get 1 or less. Let's see what he gets. He ends up passing. Next up is this regular minion zombie. It's going to go 1, 2, and it's going to attack Sindriel right there with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die, Iron Shield, and Heavy Cloak. All right, just trying to do as much damage as possible. Let's see what it gets right here. Let's take this out. Looks like there's going to be 3 defense against no defense. The Iron Shield right here is going to be used for a full-on reroll. Let's see, more likely we get at least 1 or more. We end up getting 1 right there. Still, 2 damage goes through, and because of Word of Misery, also a fatigue like that. Last up, this regular zombie is going to go 1, 2, 3 spaces right over here. It's going to attack Brother Garen with a blue die and the yellow die against a brown die, a gray die, Ironbound Ring, and Iron Shield. All right, let's see how much damage goes through right here. It looks like we have 2 damage and 2 surges against 2 defense right here. Ironbound Ring does give another defense right over here, and then Brother Garen's going to use the Iron Shield to get a 4th defense. So even with the surge for adding 2 more damage, 4 damage, minus 4, no damage goes through. Next up for the Overlord is the Morrow Priest. It's going to make a ranged attack on Widow Tara here. It needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range. It's 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice. Remember, we're trying to get 4 range first, so let's see what we get. We get the range. Let's bring this all out. It looks like there's 3 damage and a surge against 2 defense. So this is the Master one right here. We are going to end up doing Mortal Binding. So then we put a token on the Morrow Priest right here. Until either a Morrow Priest gets knocked out or one of the heroes, Widow Tara cannot heal anymore. And she also takes, let's see, it was going to be 3 damage minus 2. So 1 damage and 1 fatigue. So let's go ahead. She's full on fatigue, so then she takes another additional damage. All right, like that. The Morrow Priest is then going to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, right up over here like that. And that's the end of the Morrow Priest. Scourge Servant token is going to move 1 space over there. And then this Master Shambling Colossus is going to attack the Shackled Spirit. It's a red, blue, and yellow die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. All right, let's see if we do at least 1 damage right here. It does look like it. Let's go ahead and pull all of this out just to add it up. So it looks like I have to move this up a little bit. So it's going to be 5 damage and a surge. There's also Pierce 2, so there's no defense that goes through. Surge for 2 more damage, so at least 1 damage goes through. And the Overlord gets another damage counter for later on. All right, next up is the regular Shambling Colossus attacking the Shackled Spirit. Blue die and a red die against 2 gray dice. All right, all it needs to do is at least 1 damage. There is Pierce 2 because of Puncture. Oh, it looks like the attack is a miss. Artist X Erebus is going to attack a Shackled Spirit right here. 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray die, trying to do at least 1 damage. All right, let's see if we can do at least 1 damage. That has to go into the tower. Oh, it looks like there's plenty of damage. Let's go ahead and, pull this out right here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One of the surges for Pierce. So then 7 minus 1, 6 damage goes through. And that's at least 1, so another bonus counter.
It's going to stay put there, so that's the end of the Overlord's turn. At the end of the Overlord's turn, they get to place a Morrow Priest next to a Shackled Spirit, so that one right there. First up is Tomble. He's going to move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. He's going to use his free attack with Fists of Iron on the Scourge Servant here. 2 yellow die and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see if we get to do the 7 damage right over here. It doesn't look like we're going to get there quite. Maybe we are. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a surge. And then against no defense here. Second surge is for Mana Weave. So with the 2 surges, we're going to add 2 more damage. So 7 damage goes through and knocks out the Scourge token. We go ahead and remove the Scourge token from the map. But then the Overlord's going to use this Possessive right here. So then the hero suffers 2 damage. And the Overlord gets to use them as an attack as if they're one of their monsters. Alright, let's go ahead and place 2 damage for Possessive, and he's just going to have Tomble attack himself with the Fist of Iron, 2 yellow, and a blue die against a gray die. Alright, let's see what happens here. Looks like we get 3 damage and 2 surges against 2 defense, so let's go ahead and bring that out. And then the 2 surges are for 2 more damage, so it's going to be 5 damage minus 2, 3 damage goes through, so we exchange the 2 for 3 like that. For his second action, Tomble's going to use his Heroic Feat to pop off the map and put his token right over there. We're then going to flip over his mat to show that he used his feat. Next up is Sindril. She's going to have her Reanimate go first. It's going to go 1 right over here, make it interrupt its movement to make an attack on the zombie with a red, blue, and yellow die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. Alright, let's see if we can do 5 damage right over here. Sorry, knocked it. Looks like there is going to be enough damage. 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7 damage, which is enough to knock out the zombie. We're going to go ahead and remove the zombie from the map there. The Overlord is going to use Ties That Bind to bring in the Scourge Servant. We're going to place that right there. We go ahead and exhaust the Ties That Bind. The Animate's going to continue its movement. It has 2 more, so 1, 2, like that. We do get to recover Fatigue for the Reanimate knocking out a monster. She's then going to use her first action to attack with the Lightning Javelin on the Master Zombie right here. It's a red, blue, and yellow die against a brown die, trying to do 9 damage. Alright, let's see if we do the 9 damage right over here. Looks like we have a miss. We're going to use her second attack to go against the Master Zombie again. Same thing, red, blue, and yellow against a brown die for 9 damage. Alright, let's see if we get up to 9 damage and not a miss this time. Alright, doesn't look like we have 9 damage. It looks like 3, 4, 5, and a surge. Against 2 defense, we're going to use the surge for 2 more damage, so that's going to be 7 minus 2, 5 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 5 right there, and that's the end of Sindril's turn. Brother Garen's going to go last. He's going to attack the Scourge Servant here with his Boned Wand. It's 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 7 damage. He's also going to take a damage for his hero ability, so he gets to add an extra damage. Let's see if he can get up to 7 right here. Doesn't look like he's going to quite get there, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 damage with no defense, plus 1 more, so 5 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 5 damage right there, and then he's going to go ahead and do the same attack on the Scourge. It's going to be 2 yellow dice and blue die against a brown die, trying to do 2 damage now. He's not going to use his hero ability. He thinks he can get to 2 damage, so let's go ahead and see what we roll here. Looks like he has plenty, so it's going to be 2, 3, sorry, I moved that, 4 damage and 2 surges. So he doesn't need to use any surges for extra damage. The Scourge is going to get knocked out, and then he has no extra fatigue to get rid of. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of the Scourge token like that right over there. He's then going to spend 1 fatigue right over here to get 1 free movement, and then use his Trailblazer ability to get another movement right here, and then pass off the stamina potion to Widow Tara. Alright, the 1 fatigue for the extra movement, exhausting the Trailblazer for the second movement. He can actually just flip this over and then have her recover all the fatigue. He doesn't have to hand it over. So we're going to go ahead and do that like that. Widow Tara is going to go last. She's going to go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then spend a fatigue to move up to this Shambling Colossus right here. And then she's also going to use Challenge on it. So they'll put that marker so they do +1 damage to each other. Let's go ahead and add the 1 fatigue for the movement and then exhaust the challenge like that. She's then going to use her Sunburst to attack the Shambling Colossus right here with 2 blue dice against a black die, trying to do 7 damage. She's also going to spend a fatigue right here on the planar weapon to get a free surge. All right, let's go ahead, and we also have the challenge damage. Let's see what we get right here. Looks like we end up getting only 2 damage. Just think about what we want to reroll. We want to make sure that the attack still hits, so we'll re-roll the yellow power die right here. Let's see what we get. Ends up being the best thing, so let's go ahead and pull this all out. So it looks like we have 3 damage and we have 2 surges, remember, from planar weapon against 3 defense right here. It's 3 damage, 4 damage, first surge for 2 more, so that's going to be 6 damage, second surge to recover 2 health and 1 fatigue, so let's go ahead and do that right there. So then 6 damage minus 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage right over here, and that's the end of the hero's turn. I just caught it. She cannot heal up yet until a Morrow Priest gets knocked out because she got hit with Mortal Binding. So we're going to go ahead and use the... Oh, we also have to add the fatigue back. We're going to then do a stun. Let's go ahead and put a stun token right there. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Dash. We get to spawn a zombie in the graveyard right over there. The zombie's going to go first. The regular one's going to go right here and attack Sindriel with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die, a heavy cloak, and an iron shield. Alright, let's see how much damage it can do right here. Ends up getting a miss, and there's no way to re-roll it. This regular zombie here is also going to attack Sindriel with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die, and an iron shield and heavy cloak. Alright, let's see how much damage it can do. Hopefully not a miss this time. Alright, it's 3 damage and a surge. Let's go ahead and bring this out right here. But Sindriel is going to use her heavy cloak, so then the surge does not go through. She's also going to use her shield, so then she has 2 defense, so it's going to be 3 damage, minus 2, 1 damage goes through. So we're going to place that on her like that. The zombies then can move 1, 2, 3 right here to block the path. And then the last one is the Master Zombie attacking Sindriel. This one gets a yellow, blue, and red die against a gray die. No more shield or cloak. Alright, let's see how much damage we can do right here. Looks like there's going to be a lot of damage going through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 surges. First surge will be to disease. The other surge will be to do 2 more damage. So 8 damage minus 1, 7 damage, and disease go through. All right, let's go ahead and remove the 3, exchange it for 10 damage. Let's go ahead and put disease right there. The zombie's going to stay put just to block the way, and that's the end of the zombies. Next up is Artis Eeks Erebus attacking the Shackled Spirit here with a red, blue, and yellow die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. Alright, let's see if you can do at least 1 damage right over here. It looks like it's probably going to get there, so let's add this all up. So it's going to be 3 damage and 2 surges against 4 defense here. So then 1 surge is for Pierce, so that means 1 damage goes through, so they get to add another counter here. Next up is the Master Shambling Colossus. It's going to pick itself up and go 1, 2, right over here. It's going to attack Widow Tara with a blue, red, and yellow die against 2 gray dice, but also it's going to spend 2 bonus counters to do 2 extra damage. All right, let's go ahead and add the 2 damage right over here with the special scenario rules. There's also going to be a puncture of 2, so 2 pierce. Let's see what they get right here. This one has to be a reroll. There's too much on the edge. All right, so let's go ahead and bring all of this out. So it's going to look like it's going to be 3 damage with no surges against 4 defense. But hold on, there's 2 pierce. So let's count this all up. So 3, 4, 5 against 2. 3 damage goes through. So we're going to exchange the 2 for 5 right over here like that. The Overlord is going to use Frenzy to do another attack right here from the Master onto Widow Tara. Red, blue, and yellow against 2 gray dice. Because the Overlord used a card, Tombo gets to heal 1 for his 4-ward ring right here. It gets down to 4. The Overlord's going to spend 2 of the bonus damage right over here. She does have plus 4 health, so she has 14, so she has 8 left. So it's trying to do 8 damage. Let's go ahead and see what we get here. There is puncture of 2. All right, that ends up being a miss. Next up, the regular minion Shambling Colossus has to use an action to get rid of stun, and then it's going to attack Widow Tara here with a blue die and a red die against 2 green dice. There is challenge here as well. All right, there's also puncture, so there's pierce 2. Let's see what goes through. It looks like there's going to be 3 damage against 6 defense. That is a lot of defense right there. There is challenge for 1 more damage, and then there is pierce 2. So to add it all up, there's going to be 4 damage, minus 4, no damage goes through. Next up is the Master Morrow Priest. It's going to go 1, 2, right over here, stop its movement, make an attack on Widow Tara. Needs 1, 2, 3 range with 2 yellow die and a blue die against 2 gray dice.
It's also going to add 2 bonus damage from the bonus pool right here, like that. So let's see if we get the 3 range first. Let's go ahead and roll all of that. It looks like we do have the range. This one needs a reroll. It's kind of sideways. All right, so let's pull that all out. So it looks like there's going to be 4 damage and 1 surge. Oops, sorry, yeah, no, that's fine. 4 damage and 1 surge against 3 defense right here. We're going to use the surge for 1 more damage. So then that's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7. Minus 3, 4 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and exchange the 1 for a 5, like that. And we'll move it back 1, 2, right over there. And that's the end of the Master Minion's turn. The regular Morrow Priest is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here and attack Widow Tara with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice. All right, she has 4 life left. Let's see if we can do the last 4 damage. Ends up being a miss. First up for the heroes, Widow Tara is going to go first. She's going to use Challenge right over here on this regular Shambling Colossus, so she gets 1 extra damage from it. She's then going to use her Heroic Feat to attack the regular Shambling Colossus and the Master one, but before she does the attack, the Master one is Harrowing, so she has to do a willpower test. Let's go ahead and exhaust the challenge before we forget that. And then her Blessed Armor lets her roll 2 gray dice. Her willpower is 3, so she's trying to get 3 or less. She succeeds, so she's not terrified. She's going to roll 1 attack roll, but the first one, the defense is going to be the regular Shambling Colossus, which has 4 health left and a black defensive die. She's using her Sunburst with a blue and yellow die. Let's go ahead and flip her over to show that she used the Heroic Feat like that right there. She's also going to spend a fatigue on her planar weapon, so she gets a free surge for using a rune. So let's go ahead and see if we can do the 4 damage. Remember, we're rolling for the regular one first, and there is challenge for extra damage there. Let's see what she gets. She ends up getting 3 damage right here. No surges. She does have a reroll. She's going to use her once per round reroll on this. She's just trying to get a little bit more damage to make the attack have oomph. All right, so she did right here. So let's see what she's going to use. So she's trying to do 4 damage. So the first surge is going to be 2 more damage. So that's going to be 5 damage. And then the second surge is going to be using on this right here to recover 2 health and 1 fatigue. She still is mortal bound, so she can't recover health, but she'll get rid of the fatigue like that right there. So let's add this all up. It's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 damage on the regular one, minus 2. 4 damage goes through and knocks it out. So let's go ahead and get rid of the regular Shambling Colossus like that right over there. We now have to roll the defensive die for the Master one. So it's still the 5 damage going through. There's no challenge for this one. So 5 damage. Let's see what it rolls for defense. Ends up getting 2 defense. So 3 damage goes through to the Master one. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage over here like that. She is also going to use Advance because she defeated the original one. So Advance right here, cost of fatigue. She gets to move up to her movement and make another attack. She's going to go right over here, just 1 space, and attack the Master Shambling Colossus with her Sunburst. Yellow die and a blue die against a black die. Trying to do 6 damage. All right, there's not too many abilities left. She can't do a planar weapon. Let's go ahead and see what she gets right here. She got 4 damage in the surge, which is pretty good, but this Shambling Colossus got a... Sorry, I moved it over. It was 4 defense right here. The surge is going to be for 2 more damage. So then 6 damage minus 4, 2 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and exchange the 3 for 5 right here. And that's the end of Widow Tara's turn. Since the advance was part of the first action, she's going to use her second action to attack the Master Colossus, Shambling Colossus right here with Sunburst, yellow die, and a blue die against a black die, trying to do 4 damage. All right, she's trying to do 4 damage right here. Let's see what we get. It looks like there's a damage and a surge against 2 defense right here. We're going to use the surge for 2 more damage, so 3 minus 2, 1 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 1 damage right over there. Now that's the end of Widow Tara's turn. Cindriel up here is going to go next. She's going to have her reanimate go first, but she also at the beginning of her turn has to test willpower for disease. Her willpower is 2, so she has to get a 2 or less. She ends up failing, so she takes a fatigue. Reanimate's going to go next. 1, 2, 3 right here and attack the Master Shambling Colossus with the blue, yellow, and red die against a black die. It automatically gets terrified. All right, let's go ahead and get them terrified. I forgot to do that for the last 2 attacks by Widow Tara. It's a little too late to rewind that much. All right, So let's see, red, blue, and yellow against a black, trying to finish it off for 3 damage. Let's see what we got here. Let's pull these down. So it looks like we have a lot of damage. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -2, which is 5 damage, which is enough to go through and knock out the Master Shambling Colossus. Let's go ahead and remove it from the map like that right there. Sindriel gets to recover 1 fatigue from Vampiric Blood. She's then going to attack the Master Zombie right here with her Lightning Javelin, 2 yellow die and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 4 damage. Alright, let's see if she can finish it off for 4 damage right over here. Looks like we have plenty of damage. Let's go ahead and add it all up. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 damage, and a surge. I guess the unspent surge doesn't do anything, so it knocks out the zombie. We're going to remove the zombie from the map right there, but then the Overlord's going to use the ties that bind to put the Scourge Servant right over there. Let's go ahead and exhaust the ties that bind. Sindriel is then going to attack the Scourge Servant with her Lightning Javelin, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see if we can do the 7 damage right over here. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 damage and 2 surges. So we're going to go ahead and use 1 surge for 2 damage, 2 more, and then 1 surge for stun. So that's going to be 6 damage and a stun going through. Let's go ahead and put this 6 damage right over here. That's the end of Sindriel's turn. Brother Garen's going to go next. He's going to use his Bone Wand on this regular zombie to do 2 yellow dice and blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. He's also going to suffer damage for his hero ability to add 1 more. Let's see if he gets this attack off. Looks like he is. So 1, 2, he's trying to do 5 total. 3, 4 damage and a surge against 1 defense. 5 damage because of the ability and surge for 2 more. So 7 minus 1, 6 damage goes through and knocks out the zombie. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map like that. And then his second action is to attack the Scourge Servant. He needs 1, 2, 3 range with his Bone Wand. It's going to be 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to finish it off for 1 damage. He also happens to get sneak because they didn't have line of sight at the beginning of his turn. So as long as he doesn't miss, so this is going to be good. 1, 2, 3 damage and 2 surges, plus 1 more damage for sneak. So 4 minus 1, 3 damage goes through, and an unspent surge to get rid of the fatigue counter. We're going to go ahead and remove this Scourge from the map like that right there. And then he's going to spend 3 fatigue, 1, 2, 3 to go up here. And then use his Trailblazer ability so they each get to move 1. So he's going to go 1 right here. And then she's going to go 1 right there so they can't get blocked anymore. Let's go ahead and spend a 3 fatigue. It was a lot, but it's going to be worth it to not get stuck anymore. And then exhaust the Trailblazer. That's the end of Brother Garen's turn. Next up is Tomble. He gets to reappear within 4 spaces of this marker. So he gets to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. So let's remove that. He's then going to do a free attack with his Fist of Iron on the shrine with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 8 damage. All right, let's see how much damage he does here. Oops, sorry, moved everything. He misses once again. He's then going to use his first action to do the same attack. Fist of Iron, 2 yellow and a blue against 2 gray dice, trying to do 8 damage. Let's see if he doesn't miss this time. Let's go ahead and roll that. It looks like we did not get it. Oops, sorry, that was 2 and a surge. Saw that real quick. All right, let's pull this all out. So that's 2, 3, 4 damage and 2 surges, but against 6 defense. So the 2 surges are going to add 2 more damage with this right here. So that is going to be, sorry, I have to move everything, 6 against 6, so nothing goes through. He is going to use Mana Weave to then get an extra unspent surge to recover fatigue like that. It's a free action. He's going to use Prayer of Healing on himself with 1 red die to go ahead. Let's see what he gets. So he has to spend 1 fatigue on that at least, and then he does get an extra brown die for defense until the beginning of his next turn. So let's go ahead and put that right there, and let's see how much he heals up. He ends up healing 2 health, so we'll get rid of 1, 2 right there. I almost forgot, but we do have to exhaust this. We can't use it again. He's going to use his second action to grab this search token right here. He ends up getting Warding Talisman here. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which is Dark Fortune. They spawn a zombie in the graveyard right over here. Artis Eeks Erebus is going to attack the Shackled Spirit with 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do at least 1 damage. Alright, let's see if he can do the 1 damage right here. He ends up getting, it looks like 2, 4, 5 damage, which is going to be good against, let's pull this out, 1 defense, so 4 damage goes through, but the important part is 1 damage goes through, so they get a bonus counter right here. Next up, the Master Minion Zombie is going to go 1, 2, 3 right over there and attack Sindriel with a blue, red, and yellow die against a gray die, trying to do 4 damage. The Master Minion Zombie is also going to spend one of their banked up damage tokens to add 1 more damage. Sindriel also has an Iron Shield and a Heavy Cloak. She has 4 health left. Let's see how much damage the zombie can do right over here. Looks like we got a lot of damage. It's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 damage and a surge against 1 defense. She's going to use the cloak to get rid of a surge and the shield to get 1 more defense, but it's still going to be 6 damage minus 2 defense. Well, I guess 7 damage right here. So 7 damage minus 2 defense, 5 damage goes through, and Sindriel gets knocked out. So we're going to fill up her health and fatigue first. All right, disease goes away, and then we fill up the health and fatigue right over here, and then we flip over the card, so she's now tainted. She has martyrdom. You cannot discard a condition if another hero is affected by the same condition now. We remove her from the map and replace her with a hero token. The Overlord gets to draw a card. They get Haunted Steps right here. Brother Garen has this boned wand, so since Sindriel is within 3 spaces of him, he gets to remove a fatigue from another hero within 3 spaces, so he's going to remove it from himself. Next up is the regular minion zombie. It's going to go 1, 2, 3 right over here. It's going to attack Brother Garen with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die and a brown die and an iron shield and iron bond ring. All right, let's see how much damage it can get through. Looks like there's going to be 4 damage and a surge. Oops, I dropped it. It was this one, though. And then there's 2 defense right over here. We're going to use the Iron Shield for 1 more defense. Oh, I have to bring the zombie card. Just all over the place. So the first surge is going to be plus 2 damage. The other surge is going to be disease. So to recap, 6 damage, minus 3. 3 damage and disease goes through. Let's go ahead and exchange the 2 for a 5 and then put the disease like that. Next up, the Morrow Priest right here is going to attack Widow Tara with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 4 damage. The Morrow Priest is going to use one of the bonus damage right over here, so just 1. Let's see what they get right here. They don't have to worry about range. They're right next to her, so it looks like it's going to be 2, 3 damage and a surge against 3 defense here. So the surge is going to add 1 more damage, so then we have 3, 4, 5 minus 3. 2 damage goes through. The priest is then going to move 1, 2, 3 all the way up over here. And then this one's going to go 1, 2, stop its movement and attack Widow Tara with 2 yellow dice and blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 2 damage. All right, let's see how much damage this one can do. And I'm getting a miss. We are going to use Dark Fortune for a reroll on the miss. So let's go ahead and take that out. And let's see if we get not a miss. Let's go ahead and see if we hit. We're good there, so let's pull it all out. Looks like there's 4 damage and 2 surges, like that, against 4 defense. So I guess Mortal Binding's already on Widow Tara, so the first surge doesn't matter. The other surge is going to add 1 more damage, so that'd be 5 damage, minus 4, 1 damage goes through. That would not be enough to knock her out, but the Overlord's going to spend Critical Blow, since they can't use the other surge for Mortal Binding, which adds 3 more damage here. So let's count this all up. It's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, minus 4. 4 damage goes through and knocks out Widow Tara. She's going to get tainted. We're going to fill her up on health and fatigue right over here. And then she ends up getting this one right here, which is Perfect Peace. Apply -1 to her might and willpower. Before I forget it, Forewarned Ring would recover 2 health from Tumble for the 2 Overlord cards played. The Overlord gets to draw a card for knocking out Widow Tara, gets Frenzy right there. We replace her figure with her hero token right here, and then the Morrow Priest is going to continue its movement to go next to the door again, and that is the end of the Overlord's turn. We also get rid of the Mortal Binding for a hero getting knocked out. It would have happened during Sindriel's knockout, but it wouldn't have changed how it played out anyways. At the beginning of the hero's turn, Brother Garen's going to go first, but he has to test for disease. He's going to have to test willpower, so he has to get a 4 or less. He does have a lucky charm, let's see, so he passes it on the first go. Let's go ahead and remove the diseased. He's then going to attack the giant spider over here. He's then going to attack the regular minion zombie with his boned wand. It's 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. He's going to use his hero ability up here to take a damage to add 1 damage. So let's see if he can do the 5. It looks like he ends up getting a miss, unfortunately. He's then going to use his second action to go ahead and try to take out the zombie again with this bone wand. 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. He's going to once again use his hero ability right here to add an extra damage. Hopefully he doesn't miss this time. Let's see what he gets. Looks like there's plenty of damage, so it looks like there's 2, 4, 6 damage and 2 surges right there, or I guess 7 damage. So 7 damage is enough to knock him out. One of the surges is wasted, and the other one's going to be used to remove a fatigue like that. We're going to go ahead and remove the zombie from the map right over there, and then Brother Garen's going to use he's going to use his heroic feat to try to heal up him and Sindriel. Let's see how much he heals up. Let's flip over his character sheet to show that he's using his heroic feat like that. Let's see how much they heal up right over here. Looks like they're each going to heal up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sindriel will go back to the map. And then Brother Garen exchanged the 5 for 1. She's going to go back to the map right over here. The Overlord also, after the zombie got knocked out, is going to use the ties that bind to bring the Scourge Servant right over there. We go ahead and exhaust that right there. Tombo's going to go next. He's going to use his free Fist of Iron attack with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice against the Shackled Spirit, trying to do 8 damage. Alright, let's see how much damage he can do right over here. He's trying to do 8. He ends up getting a miss once again. He's then going to use his first action for his turn to try to attack again. 2 yellow and a blue against 2 gray. He finally gets a hit. Let's go ahead. He's trying to do 8 damage. I don't know if it's going to be enough right here. So we got 4 damage and 2 surges, which is 2 more damage. So 6 damage minus 2, 4 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place 4 damage on the Shackled Spirit. Tombo's then going to use his second action to move. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And then he's going to use his Prayer of Healing, which is not an action, right here on Widow Tara. Alright, so we're going to put the fatigue for the Prayer of Healing and exhaust it. Let's see how much she heals up. She gets to heal up 2 right over here, and then she gets to go back to the map. She also gets a token for Armor of Faith, so she'll get an extra brown die now. Let's go ahead and exchange her token for her figure. And that's the end of Tombo's turn. Next up is Sindriel. She's going to have her reanimate go first. 1, 2, 3 right here, attacking the Shackled Spirit with a red, blue, and yellow die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 4 damage. The reanimate's terrified, so it can't use its surge ability. Let's go ahead and see what we got right here. So it looks like there's 5 damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 2 defense. So unfortunately only 3 damage goes through. Let's exchange the 2 right here for 5, and it has 1 health left. Now at the end of the reanimate's turn, no enemies are within line of sight, so it gets rid of terrified. Let's go ahead and remove that. Sindriel's then going to take her turn. She's going to move 4, 1, 2, 3, and then when she moves on the 3rd spot, the Overlord's going to play Haunted Steps, so anytime an adjacent hero moves away from the servant, the Overlord can go ahead and move it 1. This goes away when the servant gets knocked out. So that was 1, 2, 3, and then 4 right over here. The servant's then going to follow like that. And then for her second action, she's going to attack the Shackled Spirit up there. She needs to get 1, 2, 3, 4 range with her Lightning Javelin, 2 yellow dice, and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 8 damage. She already has the 4 range because she has 4 might right there. So let's see what she gets. She's trying to do 8, and then she ends up missing. Widow Tara is going to go last. She's going to go 1, 2, and then 3, interrupt her movement to make an attack on this regular Morrow Priest. It's with her Sunburst, a blue die, and a yellow die against 2 green die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see if she can get up to 7. Looks like she got 3 damage and a surge. Let's go ahead and bring that out right over there. And then 3 defense. That is unfortunate. It's a lot of defense. We're going to go ahead. We could try to heal up or add 2 more. We're just going to go ahead and use the surge for 2 more damage. So it's going to be 5 minus 3. 2 goes through. We'll go ahead and place the 2 damage right over here on the Morrow Priest, and then she's going to use her last movement to go back over there. That's the end of the hero's turn. I almost forgot, but at the beginning of Widow Tara's turn, Brother Garen's going to use his Trailblazer ability to go ahead and move 1 space. And then we go ahead and exhaust the Trailblazer. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we draw a card, which ends up being Dark Might. We get to place a zombie in a graveyard right over here, like that. Alright, then this Master Zombie is going to go 1, 2 right over here and do hold on Brother Garen. He has to make a might test. If not, he gets immobilized. His might is 1, so he has to get 1 or less. But he does have the lucky charm. He fails the test. He's going to use the Lucky Charm to go ahead and get a reroll on the test. Let's see if he passes it this time. He fails again, so he is immobilized. Then this regular zombie is going to go 1, 2, 3 right here. It has shambles, so it can't move again. Next up is the Scourge Servant. It's going to attack Sindriel with a blue die and a red die against a gray die, and Iron Shield and Heavy Cloak. It's trying to do 4 damage here. Let's see if it can do enough. It looks like we do get 4 damage, but she does have an Iron Shield right here, so she's going to use that to block one of it. So 4 minus 1, 3 damage goes through, and then she still has 1 health left. Let's go ahead and place that there. Next up is Artis Eeks Erebus. He's going to try to get into the battle. 1, 2, 3, 4 for first action, then 1, 2, 3, 4 right here for the second action, like that. Next up is this Morrow Priest right here. It's going to attack Widow Tara with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray die, and then she gets the brown die for Armor of Faith, trying to do 2 damage. All right, let's see what we get right here. Trying to do 2 damage. Ends up being a miss, and there's no way to re-roll it. But the Overlord's going to use Frenzy to do the same attack. So let's go ahead and grab all of this. 2 yellow and a blue against a gray and a brown. Trying to do 2 damage. Trying to knock her out. Let's see if we get it. We got a miss again. All right, next up is the other Morrow Priest. The Master one is going to attack Widow Tara. Same thing. 2 yellow and a blue against a gray and a brown. Trying to do 2 damage. All right, let's see if it actually hits this time. Remember, just another miss. Sindriel is going to go first for the heroes. She's going to attack Artis Eeks Erebus here with her Lightning Javelin. It gives her 4 range, so she's good in range. It's 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black die and a gray die, trying to do 19 damage. All right, let's see how much damage she can do here. Looks like she got, 4 damage and a surge, but against 4 defense here. So let's go ahead and think about this. We don't have any rerolls. We are going to just use the surge for 2 more damage. So it's going to be 6 minus 4, 2 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 2 right here. She's going to go ahead and do the same attack again with the Lightning Javelin. 2 yellow and a blue die against a gray die and a black die, trying to do 17 damage this time. All right, let's see what she gets here. Trying to do as much as possible. It looks like we got 3 damage and a surge. There's less defense this time. It looks like there's only 1 defense. So we're going to go ahead and use the surge for 2 more damage. So 5 minus 1, 4 damage goes through. That will be the end of her turn. She doesn't move, so she's going to remove the 2 fatigue like that. Let's go ahead and then place the 4 damage. Exchange one of the 1s for 5, so it's taken 6 of 19 so far. It is the Reanimate's turn. It doesn't want to take out the Shackled Spirit yet, because then some Flesh Molders get to spawn, and they're going to start healing Artis Eeks Erebus. So she's going to go ahead and keep it there and just pass. Next up is Brother Garen. He's going to attack the Scourge Servant with his Bone Wand, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 7 damage. All right, let's see what we get here. Looks like we got 3 damage and 2 surges against 1 defense. So we're trying to do 7 damage. We were supposed to. I know it's a little bit after effect, but I was planning on taking the damage to do 1 more damage because we wanted to one-shot the Scourge. We have a plan if it goes through. All right, so that is 1 more damage. So first surge for another damage and another surge for another 2. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, minus 1. Unfortunately, only 6 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 6 damage right over here and think about our second action. I guess since he's immobilized, he's going to then attack the Scourge Servant again with his Bone Wand, 2 yellow and a blue die against a brown die, trying to do 1 damage. All right, let's see if he can do the 1 damage over here. Looks like he did get enough. There's no extra surges to recover fatigue because it just looks like 3 damage minus nothing. The Scourge gets knocked out. So we get to remove the Scourge right over here, and that also gets rid of the Haunted Steps card. It gets past Immobilize. He's going to use Trailblazer to get 1 move right over here like that. Let's go ahead and exhaust Trailblazer. Next up is Widow Tara. She's going to move 1 space, interrupt her movement. Actually, before she goes, she's going to use Challenge on this Morrow Priest right here, so they get +1 damage to each other. Then she's going to move with her first action, interrupt it to attack the Morrow Priest. A yellow die and a blue die with her Sunburst against 2 gray dice, trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's not forget to exhaust the challenge right here. And then let's see what we roll. Trying to do 5 damage again. We do get a bonus for the challenge. It looks like we have 3 damage against 2 defense right over here. She's going to use her hero ability to reroll the yellow die, the power die here, trying to get something a little bit better. She got the best thing right here. Remember, we're trying to do, it was 5 damage. So if we use the surge for 2 more damage, plus that. So that's going to be 7 minus 2. That's enough to knock out the Morrow Priest. Let's go ahead and remove the Morrow Priest like that, and then continue the movement to go right next to the door, and that's the end of Widow Tara's turn. Tombo's going to go last. He's going to move, interrupt his movement right here to do the free Prayer of Healing on Widow Tara for 1 fatigue. Let's go ahead and roll that. Let's go ahead and add the fatigue for using that, and then let's go ahead and exhaust Prayer of Healing. Let's see how much she heals. She also gets Armor of Faith right here, and then she heals up the 2 like that. He's then going to use his free attack from Fists of Iron right here on the Master Morrow Priest. 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 10 damage. Alright, let's see what he gets here. Remember, he was trying to do 10 damage. This was a free attack. A miss once again. He's going to use his last action to attack the Morrow Priest again. Let's see if he actually gets a hit for once. Oh, that's another miss. That's so unfortunate. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord's turn, they draw a card and they get Dark Charm right here. They're probably going to use that. Before we use it, we're going to spawn a zombie on the graveyard. The Overlord's going to use the Dark Charm here on Sindriel. She has to do a willpower test. Her willpower is 2, so she has to get 2 or less. Let's see if she succeeds. Let's go ahead and put that in there. She passes, so the Overlord does get to draw another card. The Overlord ends up drawing Unblinking right here. The zombies are going to go first. This one's going to go 1, 2. I guess that one's not going to go first. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3 right over here. It's going to attack Brother Garen with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die and a brown die, an iron shield, and an iron bound ring. Alright, we're trying to do as much damage as possible. Let's see what we get here. Looks like we got 1 damage and 2 surges against 3 defense. The Iron Bound Ring does give another defense right there, so it's going to be 4. The only thing the surge can do is add 2 more, so it's 3 damage minus 4, no damage goes through. Now the zombie's going to go 1, 2, 3 right there. It has shambles, so it can't move again. The master zombie's going to go 1, 2, 3 right over here. It's going to attack Brother Garen right here with a red, blue, and yellow die against a gray die and a brown die, an ironbound ring, and an iron shield. Alright, Brother Garen has 15 life, so 10 left. Let's see what happens right here. Ends up being a miss, and there's no way to re-roll it. Next up is Artis Eeks Erebus. He's going to move 1, 2, 3 right over here. He's going to attack Brother Garen with 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die, brown die, ironbound ring, and iron shield, trying to do 10 damage. He's going to spend all the banked up tokens, so it's going to add another 4 damage right over here, so hopefully not a miss. He also has flanking, so he can use his zombie surge ability. Let's go ahead and roll this right here. There is no miss, but there's not a lot of damage. Let's see, that's a 1. That's a 1 as well. Looks like there's only 3 damage. So yeah, that's pretty rough. Brother Garen's going to use the shield right here to add 1 more. So it's going to be 3 defense with 3 attack damage. Well, I guess there's 7 minus 3, so 4 damage goes through. So we're going to go ahead and I guess we can just put these 4 right over here on Brother Garen. And that's the end of Artis Erebus' turn. He has 1 more movement, so he's going to back up right here so Brother Garen can't get a free attack on him like that. Alright, last up is the Master Morrow Priest. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here. It's then going to attack Brother Garen. It needs to get 1, 2, 3, 4 range, 2 yellow and a blue die against a brown die and a gray die. Forgot about the 2 health here, so Brother Garen has 17 total, so he has 8 health left. Remember, we have to get 4 range. Let's see if we get the range. We got the range. Let's pull this all out over here. So we got 4 damage and a surge. This is actually going to become a defense for the Ironbound Ring. So the surge is going to be doing Mortal Binding, so he can't heal anymore. So 4 damage minus 2. 2 damage goes through. So let's go ahead and exchange this 3 for a 5. And then let's go ahead and add the Mortal Binding token right over here like that. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. They get to spawn this Morrow Priest right over here next to a Shackled Spirit. Sindriel's going to go first. She's going to use her Lightning Javelin on Artis Eeks Erebus over here. 2 yellow die and a blue die against a black die and a gray die, trying to do 13 damage. Alright, let's see if the 13 damage goes through. She ends up getting a miss, unfortunately. She's just going to use her second action to do the same attack. 2 yellow and blue against a black and a gray, trying to do 13 damage. Hopefully she doesn't miss this time. She does not miss. Let's go ahead and bring this all out. So it looks like we have 4 damage and a surge against 3 defense. So we are going to use the surge for 2 more damage. So that's going to be 6 minus 3. 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage and Artis Eeks Erebus right over here, like that. That's the end of her turn. Reanimate's going to go next. It's going to attack this regular Morrow Priest right here with a blue, yellow, and red die against 2 gray die, trying to do 8 damage. Let's see how much damage goes through with this. Looks like we have, let's pull it all out, 3 damage and 2 surges. We only have 1 surge ability for 1 more damage. So that's going to be 3 minus 1, 2 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 2 damage right there, and that's the end of the Reanimate's turn. Brother Garen's going to go next. He's going to use his Trailblazer ability, so both him and Sindriel get to move 1 like that right over there. Let's go ahead and exhaust that. Brother Garen's then going to attack Artis Eeks Erebus with his Bone Wand, 2 yellow die and a blue die against a black die and a gray die, trying to do 10 damage. Let's see how much damage he can do right here. Looks like he got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He did have sneaky. They did not have line of sight of each other at the beginning of the turn, so he does get extra damage there. Looks like there's 4 defense. So let's go ahead and use a surge for 2 more damage. So let's add this all up. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 minus 4, so 5 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 5 right over here. And then Brother Garen for his second action is going to do the same attack right there with his Bone Wand. 2 yellow and a blue against a black die and a gray die, trying to do 5 damage. He is going to use his hero ability to take a damage right here to add 1 more damage. Let's see if he does the last 5. He ends up getting a miss. Tara's going to use her first action to open the door right over here, and then she's going to move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Tombo's then going to go next. He's going to move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then his second movement, 1, 2, 3, interrupt that movement to do a free attack with Fist of Iron on Artis Eeks Erebus with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray die and a black die, trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's see if he actually gets a hit here. Another miss. He has 1 more movement, so he's going to step back like that right over there. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Dark Fortune. A zombie gets to spawn in the graveyard like that. This regular zombie is going to go 1, 2, 3 right over here and attack Brother Garen with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die and a brown die, Ironbound Ring, and Iron Shield, trying to do 5 damage. Let's see how much damage goes through right over here. Looks like there's going to be 3 damage and a surge against 2 defense, but also the Ironbound Ring right over here is going to add 1 more defense, so that is 3 defense. It is a regular zombie, so the surge is going to be +2, so that's going to be 5 minus 3. Well, I guess Iron Shield as well. So 5 minus 4, 1 damage goes through, so we're going to go ahead and put that right there. This zombie that just spawned is going to move 3, 1, 2, 3 right over here. This master zombie is going to attack Brother Garen right here with a red, blue, and yellow die against a gray die and a brown die and an Ironbound Ring, trying to do 4 damage. All right, let's see if we can do the 4 damage right over here. Looks like we got 4 damage and a surge, but there is 3 defense over here, so let's go ahead and bring this out. The surge is going to be spent on the +2 right over there, so that's going to be 5 damage. Wait, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minus 3. 3 damage goes through. It's not quite enough to knock out Brother Garen. Let's go ahead and exchange the 2 for 5 right here, like that. The zombie's then going to move 3, 1, 2, 3 right over here next to Tomble. And then this regular zombie is going to go 1 right over here, and then it's going to attack Brother Garen with a blue die and a yellow die against a gray die and a brown die and an Ironbound Ring. And Sindriel is going to use her Shield Mage ability to give an Iron Shield over to Brother Garen for the attack. All right, the zombie's trying to do 1 damage over here. Let's see if it gets there. This has to be, it looks like a 1 damage and 2 surges. Let's go ahead and re-roll this die. It's kind of crooked there. All right, looks like we got 3 defense plus 1 more for the Ironbound Ring right here, so 4. So even with the surge for 2 more damage, it's going to be 3 minus 4. Nothing goes through. We do have to exhaust this card right over here for letting them potentially use the Iron Shield. Sindriel, after the attack, is going to spend a fatigue here to get back Shield Mage like that. Next up, the Morrow Priest here is going to attack Brother Garen. He needs to get a 1, 2, 3, 4 range with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray die, brown die, and an Ironbound Ring. And also Sindriel is going to use her Shield Mage ability to allow an Iron Shield to be in there as well. All right, let's exhaust the Shield Mage ability right over there. It's trying to do 1 damage. It does need 4 range, so let's see if we get the range. We do get the 4 range, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 damage and a surge for another damage. So that's 5 damage right here. Let's re-roll with the Iron Shield. So we're trying to get a 3. Let's see if we can get the 3. We got a 1 and then a 1 right here. So unfortunately, it's going to be 5 damage minus 2. 3 damage goes through. Knocks out Brother Garen. So we fill up his health and his fatigue, as well as give him a tainted card. He now has this right here, which is Death Rage. If a monster is defeated during your turn, exhaust this card at the start of your next turn. Either refresh this card or choose one hero within 3 spaces of you to suffer 2. The Mortal Binding token gets taken off. Replace his hero figure with his hero token instead, like that. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Pit Trap. The Maru Priest is then going to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over there. Next up is this Maru Priest going to attack the Reanimate right there with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against no defensive die, trying to do 4 damage. All right, let's see how much damage goes through. We have to re-roll that one. It's kind of crooked. Looks like there's 4 damage and a surge. The surge doesn't matter because the 4 damage takes out the Reanimate. We go ahead and remove that right there, and then we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over there. Next up is Artist Seeks Erebus. He's going to go 1, 2 right over here. He's going to attack Tomble with 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die and a Warding Talisman, trying to do 10 damage. All right, he does have flanking, so he gets to use this Cursed Monster's abilities, which is going to be the Surge for +2. Go ahead and see if he can do the 10 damage. He ends up getting a lot of damage here. It's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 damage against this 2 defense. So 5 damage would go through. He is going to use Dark Might to get another surge to then add 2 more damage. So that's going to be 7, 8, 9 minus 2. 7 damage goes through. Tomble is going to use the Warding Talisman to block 2 of it. So 5 damage goes through. That is the end of the Overlord's turn. Tomble's going to go first. He's going to use his free attack with the Fists of Iron on Artist Seeks Erebus there. He hits 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black die and a gray die, trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's see if we can do the 5 damage right over here. He finally gets a hit. It looks like we're going to have to re-roll the black die. Let's go ahead and pull this out. It's going to be 3 damage and 2 surges. Let's re-roll this one. It's too crooked. Looks like we got no defense there. So we're trying to do 5 damage. So that's going to be 4 plus 2 surges for 5, 6 minus 1. So 5 damage does go through. He's also going to use the Mana Weave to get an extra unspent surge to get rid of a fatigue here. And Artist Seeks Erebus gets knocked out. Actually, the Overlord's going to use Dark Fortune to reroll the black defensive die. That also triggers the Forewarned Ring. So then Tomble gets to heal up 1, so he goes down to 4 like that. Let's go ahead and re-roll this, and then we'll have to recalculate everything, see if we actually get something. We ended up getting 2, so that's 3 defense. So that was 6 damage, minus 3, only 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and exchange the 2 for 5, so he has 2 life left right here. Tomble's then going to use his first action with the Fists of Iron and Artist Seeks Erebus, 2 yellow and a blue against a gray die and a black die, trying to do 2 damage. All right, let's see if he can do the last bit of damage right here. Ends up getting another miss. His last action is the same attack on Artist Seeks Erebus. Let's see if he doesn't miss. All right, trying to do 2 damage. Let's go ahead and see what we get here. Another miss. It's insane. He's then going to spend 1 fatigue to exhaust Prayer of Healing to heal himself. He's also going to get a counter, so he gets a brown defensive die for Armor of Faith. See how much he heals. He heals up 1 right there like that. Cinderelle's going to go next. She cannot revive up Brother Garen because she is tainted, and only untainted heroes can revive people. So that's going to be Tomble's, the last one left untainted. She's going to use her first action to attack Artist Seeks Erebus here with her Lightning Javelin. She has the 4 range because of its ability. It's going to be 2 yellow and a blue die against a gray die and a black die, trying to do 2 damage. Let's see if she can do the last bit of damage over here. Well, it looks like we have to pull this out, so it's going to be that 3 defense, and then we do have 5 damage and a surge, so that is going to be 5 minus 3, so that is the 2 damage to knock him out. And then we're going to use the unspent surge to get rid of the fatigue, and then vampiric blood because we're knocking out someone. We also get to remove another fatigue. Let's go ahead and remove him from the map.
The Death Knight bellows a hearty laugh, staggering to his knees. Moving swiftly, his soldiers drag him from the battlefield as he clutches at his wounds. I will have you. I will own your strength. Artist rasps. The Deathborn Legion will always triumph in the end.
Overlord's then going to use the ties that bind to put the Scourged Servant right there. We go ahead and exhaust that. Brielle is then going to spend 1 fatigue to do Raised Dead to put her Reanimate right over here like that. Go ahead and spend the 1 fatigue for the Raised Dead, but she didn't move this turn, so she gets to recover both of these fatigue, and then her turn's done. The Reanimate's then going to attack this zombie with a blue, yellow, and red die against a brown die, trying to do 5 damage. Alright, let's see if the 5 damage can go through right over here. Looks like we got a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Looks like 3, 4, 5, 6, minus 2, so only 4 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage like that. Last up is Widow Tara. Her first action is to grab the search token. She ends up getting a stamina potion right there. She's then going to use her second action to move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 right over to Tomble so he can then get her defensive dice next turn. Brother Garen cannot pick himself up because he's tainted, so that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord's turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Word of Misery. They're also going to then play the Word of Misery, so anytime the heroes take damage, they also suffer fatigue. Tomble gets to heal up 1 for his Forewarned Ring. A zombie gets to spawn on the graveyard once again over here. This Morrow Priest is going to go first. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here. It's going to attack Widow Tara with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice, trying to do 4 damage. Alright, let's see if, well, we need to range, but if it hits, it's going to be range, I believe, 2 at minimum. Alright, so it's going to be 4 damage minus 2 defense, or no defense, which is rough. So, I'm sorry, yeah, 3 damage goes through, but then 1 more fatigue for Word of Misery, which then she's full in stamina, so she then takes the last damage and gets knocked out. Let's go ahead and fill up her health right there. We remove her figure from the map and replace her with the hero token. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Haunted Steps. The Master Morrow Priest gets to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here, interrupt its movement to attack Tomble right here with a blue die and 2 yellow dice against a gray die and the Armor of Faith brown die. And then Sindriel is 3 spaces away. She's going to use her Shield Mage to hand over the Iron Shield. The Overlord's trying to do 8 damage. Let's see what we get over here. Looks like we have 4 damage in the Surge. Let's bring this all out first. And then there is 2 defense by Tomble. He's going to add another defense for the Iron Shield over here. So that's going to be 4 damage minus 3, 1 damage, and a fatigue goes through. So let's go ahead and place the damage there, and then the fatigue as well. We also have to exhaust the Shield Mage ability for being used. The Morrow Priest is then going to use its last movement to block the hallway right there. Alright, the Scourge Servant's going to go next. It's going to attack Tomble with a blue die and a red die against a gray die and the brown die from Armor of Faith, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see what gets rolled here. Looks like it's 2 damage against 1 defense. Let's pull it out first. So it's going to be 1 damage and 1 fatigue going through. He's full up on stamina, so that's 2 damage. So let's go ahead and exchange the 3 for 5, like that. Scourge token's then going to move 1 right over here. The zombies are going to go last. The Master Zombie is going to attack Tomble here with a red, blue, and yellow die against a gray die and the brown die for Armor of Faith, trying to do 5 damage. Let's see if the 5 damage goes through. It looks like we do have 5 damage, but there is 1 defense. So let's go ahead and bring all of this out right here. So 5 damage minus 1, so 4 damage goes through, but then there's going to be a fatigue. Full in stamina is 1 more damage, which knocks out Tomble Burrowell. So let's go ahead and fill up his health and stamina like that. We remove his hero figure from the map and replace him with this token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Critical Blow. Next up, this zombie up here is going to go 1, 2, 3. It's going to attack Sindriel right here with the blue die and a yellow die against a gray die and a heavy cloak, trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see if Sindriel can survive the attack right here. It doesn't look like it because there's going to be 4 damage minus 1 defense. There's no surges to get rid of, so 3 damage goes through and a fatigue, but that's enough to knock out Sindriel. So let's fill up her health and fatigue right here. We remove her figure from the map, place the token there, and now that all the heroes are knocked out, the Overlord wins.
Pathetic, rasped Artis Ix Erebus as his soldiers drag you to the edge of his camp. Your attempts to cling to your mortality make you weak. Such potential, and you squander it because you are afraid of what you could become. In time, you recover enough to drag yourselves back to Rothfeld, where the town mayor meets you, drumming thick fingers on his hairy, bronze chest. "That didn't go well, I reckon," he says. "Well, thanks for trying. I feel better with you on our side. Figure you can slow them down if the worst comes." Shrugging, the mayor turns to go. All of the heroes get 1 experience. The heroes get 150 gold. And the Overlord gets 2 experience. The Overlord won, so the next scenario is Unquiet Memories.
We're going to do the shopping now, so let's go ahead and see the options we get. A rune touched leather. We already got that last time. I think we ended up selling it back. Lightning strike rune. We end up getting a ice storm rune. We have grinding axe, and then we have mace of Kelos. We're going to go ahead and see what everyone purchases, and we're going to reconvene. All right, we're going to have Widow Tara grab Death Siphon ability and the Lightning Strike magic rune. We're going to have Brother Garen get the Unity skill, and then we're going to swap over the Forewarned Ring over to him, so then Tomble can get the Lucky Charm, and then he gets the skill Vow of Freedom. Cinderel's going to have no changes, and we end up selling the Sunburst. The Overlord's going to pick up Dance Macabre and Azthia's Triumph Relic over there for winning the Taskmaster scenario.
This leaves Cinderelle with 1 experience and the other heroes with 0. The heroes also have 0 gold, and the Overlord now has 0 experience. Next up is Unquiet Memories.